up, Wolfpack Nation? We're bringing you another episode for our weekly podcast. We're going to be talking a little NC State baseball here. We've got Mr. Rob Chamara, one of the NC State Pack9 alums, along with his former teammate Kyle Wilson, who is the hitting coach for the Tampa Bay Rays system for the Durham Bulls. And we've got SuperFan, who knows anything and everything about Pack9, Mr. Justin Cooke. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good.
Well, what's up, Greg?
Doing great. It's a pleasure to be on here with you guys, Greg. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, all three of you. All right, so let's dive into it. Let's talk a little Pack9. We're filming this on 3/3 of 2022. So last night we had our first loss against Campbell, the humpbacks of Campbell. So we lost 7-4 last night. We had a chance. We had the bases loaded in the ninth. Just couldn't get that last hit to push some tying runs across the plate. But great start so far to the season. What are you guys' thoughts? We'll start with you, Rob.
Yeah, I think it was that first opening weekend. I think that was pretty electric. I was able to catch a few clips online. But I thought that was something special because, I mean, back in 2009, 10, and 11 when I was there, and Kyle could attest to this, it was a little colder, a couple hundred fans, a good turnout then, but it seemed like it was sellouts. The crowd was roaring, and obviously Tommy White put on a show. So I think that was a pretty special opening, and I think it's a tribute of Coach Avent and what the team did last year and how it ended. I think everyone came and showed their respects, and I think they're excited for this season. So, and to the fireworks display they had that first game with 24 runs was something to say. And go ahead and sweep the weekend. But yeah, I think that's a great start. I think that's just like, if you could have wrote it anyway, that's how it was written. So, but
absolutely, yeah, and we'll definitely talk about the phenom of Tommy White, the sensation, I guess, the tank. We'll get into him in a few minutes. But Kyle, I heard you were at that first opening series. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was nice too. I actually got to spend some time the week prior, meeting up with the coaches and having some good conversations and going over some of the players. And it's just like with anything, when you jump into a new season, you really don't know exactly what you have until
absolutely
the umpire says to play ball, and then you jump out. And the way they jumped out early like that was really cool to see, especially when you have 3 or 4 freshmen in the lineup and they're playing in their first Division I baseball game of their career, and to see what they did was really special. And then to follow it up with, the wins on Saturday and Sunday were good. So I think, just to echo what Rob said, I mean, the way the season ended last year and with I want to say that they captured the nation. And then they come out opening weekend and do what they did. And then they have, a superstar and electric Tommy Tanks, hit the stage. And, it certainly helps with Major League Baseball not being fully active right now. So, he kind of stole the national stage, which is really cool, which brought some more light to NC State and what they've done. We all of us on this call have known NC State has been a really, really good baseball program and really, really consistent throughout the years. But now they're garnishing this national attention, which is really, really cool to see. And it's really, really cool to be a part of it. So I was glad I got to catch one game. Unfortunately, it'll probably be the last one, but like you couldn't write it any better the way that first weekend went.
Yep. And what are your thoughts so far, Justin? Like I said, we're 9 games into this. What are you seeing from a fan perspective?
From the fans' perspective, I mean, they're a young team, a lot of depth all around. I mean, besides Tommy, you got Gino Gruber doing pretty good right now. I mean, the whole lineup's been pretty good, except last night, is first road game of the year. I mean, and that crowd, I mean, it was a great crowd last night.
I heard it was a sellout, right, Justin?
Yeah, it was a sellout, but it wasn't as many people as there has been in the past there for our game when we played there, in my opinion, from what I saw. But there was a good crowd on the outfield at the new, right field area. It was a good crowd.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, they had them all lined up. So they had about 1,300 there, probably by all accounts from what I read and everything, which is a good first road test. Like I said, we came out a little short on the stick, but we're not even 1/5 into the season yet. We've only played 9 games. We got 56 on the schedule, so there's tons of baseball to be played. So we've all mentioned Tommy Tanks. I mean, obviously, like Kyle said, he took the national spotlight, which is great. I mean, he was on ESPN. He was on all the different podcasts. Won ACC Player of the Week the first week. National Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row. So I'll just read some of the stats that he's as of last night. Now, granted, he was human last night. News headline. He did go 1 for 5, but still has the hit streak going on for the first 9 games. He's been on base, obviously, all 9 games. Did strike out twice, but hey, give credit to Campbell last night. They pitched him really well.
Yeah.
They didn't let him get those hands extended like those power hitters like to have. And Kyle, I'm a novice, but I feel like that's probably the key to hit a home run is get those arms extended and get that barrel out in front. So, but so through 9 games, he's only hitting high 600s. It's kind of hard to believe that's only. I'm sorry. He's down to 538. I'm sorry. He was at 600, but he's got 9 home runs in the 9 home runs in the 9 games, 29 RBIs. He's slugging a cool 1.256, which I don't know. Like I don't even know if that's humanly possible, but he is. And let's not forget that he's been flashing the leather at first base too. He's had a lot of great digs out there at first. Primarily he was a third baseman in high school, and so they've kind of converted him over to first base from what I understand. So that's a position that he's learning on the fly as a true freshman. So great job there for Tommy. I don't want to spend too much time about Tommy because there are 8 other players on the field. So, But anyway, what are your guys' first impressions on Tommy that you haven't already talked about?
I'll start if I can. I mean, I've only I only saw the 1 game. I think what's really cool and not a lot of people have talked about is his home runs. We all know to left field the ball travels at dope, but his home runs have all been to the big part of the field. And
absolutely,
he hit his first collegiate at bat. He hits a home run off the batter's eye and just right of center, and then he backs that up with another one just left of center. And it's really cool to see him, like you said, I mean, he's getting length out front, he's getting extended out front, but he's using the big part of the field to hit these home runs. And let's not talk about, I mean, the fact that he has 29 RBIs through 9 games. I mean, I know everybody's talking, and he's nicknamed Tommy Tanks, but he's gotten some pretty clutch base hits too. And he's, an RBI machine right now. So there's no hotter hitter in baseball. In collegiate baseball for sure, and the fact that he's a freshman is pretty special. I had a chance to actually see him at our facility really quick a couple years ago during the pandemic, and then watch him in a USA Baseball event. And there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to be an electric hitter, but to have the start he's had is pretty amazing. To touch on the defensive stuff, I haven't seen much of that, but obviously being a career third baseman and transferring over to first base. It's probably pretty easy, and it's a staple too. I think it's a lot of people undervalue the first base position. I mean, you make your infielders and your whole defense a lot better just in your ability to move around the bag there. So, but yeah, man, he's been really, really impressive.
Yeah, and like you said, he's hitting the home runs. We're all familiar with Doak, but the 2 light poles right between the power alleys. Most of his home runs are going in that range there. He's hit a couple outside of that, but I would say 3/4, if not more of them, are hit right there in those big parts of the ballpark. But Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's pretty special, and I think he's got a pretty cool, calm, collected swag about him that I haven't seen at NC State in a while. But he's blue collar. He's got that beard going, and he just gets up there. He's nothing fancy. He just sees the ball, hits the ball, and like Kyle said, extends those hands. And I've seen some balls get out there, but it's pretty impressive how he's pinging off that batter's eye in center field.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, we were talking about the RBIs for a second. In that Quinnipiac game, that first game on the doubleheader, he was the one that really got it started in the 7th inning, knocked in a couple of runs on the double, had a beautiful shot down the third base line. So yeah, he's doing everything right now that the team is asking for him. Justin, what are your thoughts on Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy, he looked good in the fall. I mean, they were moving him from third to first. He was pretty much doing both in the fall. In the inner squad, he hit 2 moonshots dead center off the batter's eye, one of them. I mean, he looked as advertised that he's doing right now. So to be honest with you, it's not really surprising me.
Gotcha.
What he's done so far.
No, it's something short of amazing. Anyone that, I mean, he was the number 18th recruit coming out of high school. I think it was number 1 or 2 out of Florida. So if you're ranked that high coming out of Florida, you're doing something right. Florida's obviously one of the hotbeds for baseball, and it's nice to be able to, so they can play year round. So they pull a lot of great recruits out of Florida. But all right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk top newcomers, and Kyle and Rob. I don't know how much, Kyle, I know you're real busy with the Rays organization right now, so you're probably not getting to watch as much state baseball. But if you have an answer, obviously jump in. The top newcomer to the team, either transfer or freshman, not named Tommy White. I'll go ahead and give you mine, and you can piggyback off of it, or you can come up with your own. But mine would be Josh Hood. He started off really great. The transfer in from Penn, didn't even play last year. So that's, part of what I'm taking into consideration. So he's been out of baseball, competitive baseball for almost 2 years coming into this season. Has done a great job at third base. Hasn't made an error yet. So, at the hot corner, that, he gets lots of opportunities there. And he's batting .324. He's got a home run and 8 RBI. So, slow and steady wins the race. For me. So that's my top newcomer. Any one of the three of you want to jump in and give me yours, go for it.
You're supposed to ask the question and then we answer, and then you finish with that, so then you don't steal our guys, right?
Hey, this is my first time doing this, so cut me a little slack here. And
I'm just messing
that was my guy. I've loved watching him play so far. So again, feel free to steal mine. I don't care. Let's go.
So I'm privy. I'm in the area. I know a decent amount of these kids. Matt Willardson used to come around. Peyton Green I've hit with for 6-7 years.
So there you go. Let's talk about Peyton. He's a new guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm going to pick him, right? So I actually had
I gave you an out.
No, and he's honestly doing, from my understanding, a pretty good job at short. I mean, to put a true freshman in there and expect him to to be lights out, and it's like he's overshadowed by Tommy White is another freshman, right? But from everything I've heard, and what I saw in that first game when I was there, like Peyton looked awesome, and he didn't look like the moment was too big for him. So I think as the season kind of goes, we're going to see some really cool things come out of him. Just knowing him personally, to see that. In high school, I thought one of his weaknesses was he was really, really pull side dominant with his barrel direction, and to see him live in the big part of the field, hit a double. I think his second or third at bat of the game that first Friday was pretty impressive. But Josh Hood, I actually was able to be around a little bit too during the pandemic, and unbelievable person, man. He was a conference player of the year, I think back in 2020 or 2019. He's been in a college environment for some time. I think he's a newcomer, but he's also a veteran in terms of his leadership capabilities, and he's doing a heck of a job. And that was an unbelievable find yet again by Chris Hart. And the job that he does with the recruiting side, and plugging a hole at third base was really good. So he's been really, really impressive. And honestly, he was impressive that first day just watching him and talking to the coaching staff too. I know they were excited about getting him and what he could do throughout the rest of the year. So I think those two guys, and then I think Will Marcy's been coming off the bench, and he actually played for our facility. And I've known Will since he's been 13 years old, man. And just the transformation that kid has had since he was 13, 14 as a little boy, and now he's a grown man, and I give him a hard time.
That's awesome.
Dude, you look totally different, man. And it's nice to see him getting some at bats and being productive when he does. So he's a freshman, man, and I think he's got an extremely bright future. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do the rest of the season as well.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's definitely played sparingly, and he's come up with some hits too. So as he keeps getting those hits, I'm sure Avon will keep inserting him in the lineup. So, what about you, Rob or Justin? What are your thoughts on newcomers? Either one of you?
Both of those, they were definitely in my mind. But I like to give Cozart a shout out. He's been doing a tremendous job behind the plate. I know last night he threw a few guys out, and that's another true freshman. I know his bat's been a little silent, but I mean he's commanding the game back there, and he made some fantastic throws last night to second base, with guys stealing, and I think he's going to be fine there. But yeah, once his back gets going, I think he'll be a total package. And let's not forget he's a freshman as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and Peyton's been great in the field so far. And like you said, he's been not letting the game get too fast. He's slowing it down pretty well. And then I think Kyle likes Josh because he's a Jersey boy, just like me.
No, that's his one knock. That brings him down a knock for sure.
Jersey, that's it.
As long as you just say Jersey boys and don't start breaking into Frankie Valley, we'll be all right. So
no, it's all good. Sinatra over here.
Rob, I like that.
Sinatra's good.
I like the Cozart idea. I mean, like you think about it, he's got big shoes to fill, and filling up with Patrick has been there in the past, and then Luca was there. Like, I mean, he's got some big shoes to fill, and he's a freshman. And he's trying to command a staff of pitchers that. Had a lot of success down the stretch last year. So, I think you're probably right. Like once he starts getting, his feet under him a little bit and the game starts slowing down a little bit more offensively, then he could be really, really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the defensive part's more important than the offense at this point. So we have plenty of offense. So, command that defense. So what about you, Justin? What are your thoughts on the top newcomer?
Okay. Transfer wise, I would say Gino Groover. He's been pretty good defensively. I mean, he can play pretty much anywhere in that. Corner outfielders or infield pretty much anywhere. Freshman-wise, I would say Win Scott on the pitching side. He hasn't pitched that much, but he's going to be a good one for us down the future, I believe. And Chase Nixon. I think Chase Nixon is going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, he's got good lineage there, right? So, you would think that would translate very well for the squad.
Yeah, and he hit a moonshot against Duke in the fall in the exhibition game over the right field wall at the Durham Bulls ballpark. He crushed that ball in his first at bat.
Yeah, he's had some good at bats off the bench too. So
yes,
didn't quite get it done last night, though that umpire wasn't helping us. That umpire's strike zone was all over the place, and that third strike now. You can't take him looking, but it's kind of hard to argue for him having to swing at that pitch. So, but yeah, we didn't get any love last night. Yeah. Neither team did from the umpires.
No, neither one.
Inconsistent.
And it was an ACC crew too.
Yeah. So, well, we're gonna have to deal with those a lot here coming up. Soon. So. All right. Well, let's switch some gears here and let's get into Kyle's wheelhouse. Talk a little hitting. Right now, just throw out some stats to get the conversation started. Right now, we're sitting second in the ACC in batting with a 371 average. We've hit 19 home runs, and we're averaging 13 runs a game. So, obviously, Tommy has a lot of that, to thank. But when you're scoring 13 runs a game, it ain't all Tommy's. So, we've had some really great timely hitting. We're hitting a lot of doubles, so I'll just throw it out there. What are your thoughts on the offense so far? Go ahead, Kyle. What are you seeing? What are you looking for in the offense? When you're scoring 13 runs, we're going to start splitting some hairs real fast here. So it's really hard to find any negatives in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you have a guy in your lineup that's averaging 3 RBIs a game. That's pretty ridiculous, right? But like I said before, I had an opportunity to go hang out with the staff and watch them practice, and just the kind of the environment that they have going on there, and just the chemistry with the players, and they're all clicking on the same cylinder, and it's pretty cool to see them work. Add in Brett Austin, I think he's going to bring a great just mental side of things through his struggles as a switch hitter. And, he was a guy, not to call him out, but he's a guy that thought a lot and overthink, a lot of things in the box. And a lot of times when you have those guys and they turn into coaches, they're able to, relate to players that do the same thing. Right. So we can have a calming presence with Brett, and then Bo Robinson, who comes over from UNC Charlotte. has some big shoes to fill with Joey leaving. But everything I've heard is Bo has been phenomenal with the players, and everybody loves him. And then obviously Chris has done a great job with the offense. So you can't really say that you would like anything more, especially with me not really watching many games. But what I am curious to see, and I think is going to be a good challenge, is when they start ACC play and you're starting to face some better competition. You can kind of see some of the younger kids. That's when the game might speed up a little bit. So, trying to get them to slow it down and, just buy into what they've been working on in the process of that. I'm really curious to see. But, NC State's always had a good offense, man. We've always had some electric bats in the lineup, and it's dynamic in the sense of, some years we have some speed in the lineup. Some years we have a ton of power. And this year it seems like we have, a decent mix with some of the guys. I don't think we have a ton of stolen bases yet, but it's hard to steal bases when you get on first and within 2 pitches someone hits a home run, right? So, we'll see. We'll see what they look like when the rubber hits the road and they start facing some really tough competition with the ACC. And I think they open up with Notre Dame, so that should be a pretty good test for them here soon in the next couple of weeks.
Yep, absolutely. So, Rob, in your viewing, what are you seeing from the offense? What are you impressed with? Who maybe someone that's really standing out, on the offensive side?
Yeah, I think aside from Tommy, obviously, James Groover. I mean, he hit that walk-off homer. If he doesn't hit that, who knows what happens in that game? That could have been our first loss. Another guy who's got a hot hand, who we haven't mentioned yet, and he's a seasoned vet, is JT Jarrett. He's hitting .591. He's leading the team. He's got 8 RBIs, but he's been doing well, and he's been putting them in positions to score runs. And then Devontae Brown. It's the runs are coming. It's just like Kyle said. You're going to go play Notre Dame. You're going to play Florida State. Right now, they're number 10, 11, or 12 in the top 25. So those are going to be real tests. So now we're not going to need to score 12, 13 runs. We're going to need to score 4 or 5. But when are you going to get that I guess that 4th, 5th run to win the game or pad the lead? Because I mean, Kyle knows, I know, when you're in ACC play, it's rare to get a double-digit win or score double digits. And sometimes it's on a Sunday when you go extra innings and the bullpen's wasted and you're just throwing in a random starter. But I think the offense is on a good start, and the next 4 games is crucial. This weekend and that midweek on the road again at UNC Greensboro is going to be huge, because you want to try and win as many games as you can to get into ACC play. And if they win the next 4, 10-1 looks good, or 12-1, whatever that is, looks good going into that Notre Dame series at home, which is key too.
Yep. And what about you, Justin? What are you seeing offensively that's impressing you?
I mean, they're being patient at the plate. I mean, they're waiting for the right pitches. I mean, you got a very good Northeastern team coming in. That should be a very good test. I mean, all 3 pitches I've heard are really good. Then you got Coastal coming in on Wednesday at 7 o'clock nighttime. That's another good ball club. I mean, you got some good baseball coming up before ACC play. So, I mean, it's going to be very tough, but anything happens. Baseball, anybody can beat anybody any given day.
Yep, absolutely. So my thoughts on the offense is I've been impressed so far with the lower third of the lineup getting on base, setting the table for the top of the order. The one thing that I found interesting was after that first weekend or so, Coach Avent moved Tommy up to the second hole. So I thought that was an interesting move to try to get him, 1, some more at bats, and 2, to when those guys at lower at the in the lineup are getting on, maybe push them through with one of his home runs or hits. So last question before we wrap up this part 1, and Kyle, this is kind of for you, and this is kind of me from a fan perspective. How important are the batters in front of Tommy and after Tommy? Now, which one would you say is more important? The guy getting on base to protect Tommy from being walked, or the guy hitting after him so they can't walk Tommy? What are your thoughts there?
There's so much when it comes into that. Obviously, a lot of times, if you have a speed, I mean, the college game is so much different than the professional game, right? So
sure.
Let's get that out of the way. But let's just say someone in front of him is a speed guy that, steals a ton of bases like that. That might be good for Tommy because they might have to, fill him up with some fastballs. If they don't, then there's better chances to run for runners to get into scoring position. So, there's so many different levels here. It's a very tough question, and I do love the fact that Avents moved him up to the 2-hole, especially if the bottom half of your lineup. I think JT Derricks, is he still hitting in the 9-hole?
Well, he was in the 8-9, but I mean, he's injured right now. He pulled his hamstring. He's I don't know what his status is, but he didn't play the second game on Saturday and he didn't play yesterday. So I don't know how long he might be out.
Yeah. Like I really do love the idea of, your best hitter hitting in the 2-hole. Sometimes our best hitter can hit in the 1-hole. Like it's just the way the game is shifting and changing. And just the way, matchups play out. In any given day, you can shift it around. I know we do it a lot with the Rays, and there's a lot of analytics that back certain lineups and how we kind of threw that. So it's not like you're prototypical back in the day, 1, 2, 3 hitters, 4 hitters, 5 hitters, right? So things can change a little bit, but I think the college game itself, it is important to have someone that is good and can get on base frequently in front of Tommy, but I don't think they pitch around guys as much in college baseball as they might in the professional levels or even in the big leagues. So, Tommy, it's like hard to be even comparable to what Tommy's done lately too.
Sure.
So, I know that doesn't really answer your question, but there's so many things that go into that.
But it gives perspective, right? So that's really the big thing there. So, but all right, well, that's going to wrap up part 1 of our 2-part conversation today on NC State baseball. So make sure to give this video a like. If you are not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? It's absolutely free, and it does help the channel grow. So spread the word out to your friends and family, and that will do it. So we will see you in part 2, and as always, go Pack.